Okay, so quick housekeeping. The editing set I used went down, been looking for alternates, hasn't been easy, and writing the script didn't take me long, but putting the video together has been a mental nightmare, so a like or comment is very much appreciated. Also, I heard the feedback. I will have the music either gone or lowered so you can all hear me better. So, the episode starts just like in the manga, where Yidra is analyzing that Togo is similar to humans of this world, but wants to test his blood because he has no magic or mana. It works either way. But yeah, he's not exactly good at needles. The only difference is the designs of the other guild members are a little bit more unique. The guy with the tie and priest, that's basically the guild master, is a younger take compared to the manga, and they added more members who were watching their behavior, which adds to the comedy. Otherwise, everything else is fairly accurate. As I promised, let's talk about the opening. I like the visual focus on each of the crew. Rosie fits the blue rifle aesthetic that we see in most Toku shows. I was expecting Yidra's color to be more purple than pink, but it kind of works given she's the closest to red so far in the story. And Tetalina's hair is silver like a wolf, so that fits. We also have a shot of the villains. If you watch the promotional trailers, you already seen the clown, Abu Dhabi, and the one with an open shirt, Vidan. I know the names of the other two, but I think the chapter where they're introduced might be animated towards the end, so I personally won't spoil anything about them. My guess is that they'll unveil their silhouettes for those two when their arcs come into play for now. That's pretty common in most Japanese anime and toku, but yeah, just warning the audience that they're threats. We also see Red attempting to reach out for someone. They wouldn't show that unless they had plans to cover it. So we can imply Togo lost someone or someone is missing from his life. The way the crystal breaks is very similar to the way Red was sent to the other world, given that the dimensions also had those similar type of crystals. And the shot of the shards igniting Red as he henshins gives us a hint their importance means a lot to him. We get the standard characters attack the screen trope, and they're kind of spoil hints of what Tetalina's abilities are with the wolf summon from her body. But it's nice it showed Red with most of his team's mechs. If you want an explanation for why the other Megazords and robots are with him, technically in some Power Ranger or Super Sentai seasons, sometimes only one member is needed to access all of the robots. Heck, Tori fought Zurgane in the Storm Megazord back in Ninja Steel by herself, so it fits with the genre. After Red grabs the bond plate, we see some of his future opponents. We've got Lugrad, and you can guess what his abilities are. Azir and his group, based on their designs, they may be associated with a desert. We also end up with Cholula, who looks very similar to the person Yidra's father lost to, so they're most likely one and the same, as well as having several servants behind them to give us a good idea on how impactful she is to the world society. And finally, we have a person in an Egyptian-themed armored suit alongside their people who look like Fae or elves. I wouldn't say they're a Power Ranger or Sentai rider, but whatever allegations they may ride is a bit uncommon to the masses. And I'm certain we'll learn more about her later. Plus, like I said in the breakdown and in episode 1, they kind of already have the vibes of a Sentai Ranger team down, especially with the final shots. After the opening, we get the continuation of Yidra becoming an adventurer and her stats. The original translations had it as Great Wizard or Archmage, so either one works pretty well, and the anime kind of adds him complimenting her more. So, right, let's talk about Red stats. So in Super Sentai and other Toku properties, most characters have pre-designed stats for their forms. Usually it's punching, kicking, jumping ability, and if you go down to a wiki, they'll go into way more details of special abilities, attacks, and finishers. The anime also chose to add more details via the narrator for Togo to show off his abilities, but also continues Yidra's disbelief shattering even more. Then we get the return of the two adventurers she hired. At this point in chapter 2, they didn't have names, so the anime giving them names Zatsu and Lane, which means rough and to lay down, more so fits the former than really the latter, but they also actually thank him in the anime for saving him from the golem, which is actually pretty nice. They still insult her, but Toko defends her, leading to Zatsu insulting her dad. Howdy or howdy. Same pronunciation, different spelling. And props to the animators for showing her rage face before the flashbacks, where we see Poseidon is also with her and her dad, as her father encourages her to always use magic to guide people to peace. And like the manga, it also humanizes Ydra more than just her haughty attitude. She calls him out for not being able to beat her golem. In the manga, she says she'll surpass them, while the anime adds on her roasting, but both end with her calling them third-rate adventurers. Red steps in to stop the fighting and encourages the quest challenge. If they win, she'll do whatever they want, and if she wins with Red, they apologize. They think they have the advantage because of their experience in the maze, and they know exactly how the monsters operate. And then they start thinking with their lower swords about what they'll do with her, which can it at least be consensual? But yeah, she figures out they're pretty familiar with the place, but Red's actions attract the Minotaurs. Apparently, they were perfectly censored in the manga with just bushes, but thankfully this series isn't Goblin Slayer, so we got Ydra's water magic stopping them, alongside Togo's turbo engine or puddle for a Kazuna turbo kick, which is a homage to most rider kick-like finishers we see in Toku that, if you're like Ydra, you're probably not used to if you don't watch it. She advises him to summon the Kazuna Beast, but naturally there's a reason we don't get many Megazord fights in closed-off spaces. The Go Busters and Beast Morphers had one underneath a wide cavern once. It's still able to take out some of the Minotaurs at least. Ydra uses Undyne's Scream. Undyne, or Udine, refers to the female spirit or a nymph that lives in water. If you watch Miraculous Ladybug, that's also a similar name of Ondine, Kim's swimmer girlfriend that's way too good for him, deciding to help out so she doesn't tarnish her father's will. Oh, and in the manga, Kyoshi Nakayoshi has this deformed chibi style he uses for reaction faces, and it really shows specifically with Ydra, so I'm glad it's actually being adapted, and it's even more funny when other characters get involved, so I hope we get to see it in future episodes. Togo kind of refers to her as an intimidating beauty over an endearing type in the anime, while in the manga, he says she's more of a beauty than cute. I mean, both work. They call her beautiful either way, though Zatsu Stop Flirting and Fight Yell was more comedic looking in the manga. Then we get the mystery monster with a treasure chest able to scare off other monsters, though it's a little bit more different than what they were used to. Togo refers to it as a secret society boss in earlier translations, so generals was probably the ideal fit word, though based on how the monster acts, I say it's less of a general and more like when the main villain sent out the powerful monster of the week that will take the team 2 episodes to defeat instead of 1. The closest example I can give is Jaden versus Decker versus Robotish in Power Rangers Samurai, and their Shinkenger part respectively. Red does give an example of one of his actual generals, Reject Dandra, but they kill her off in one episode, and since we saw what Red's generals looked like back in episode 1 and chapter 1, she's probably just a strong monster at best. We only had her design in the manga, and I like how the anime uses the flashback to treat it like part of a Sentai episode. Turn 19. Some Sentai seasons don't always say episode, they'll have a word that fits the theme usually. And the fact that they named it the approach of the romantic ice age actually kind of gives it a bit more nuance and flavor. Yeah, we also see that Rejection Dandra was on a date with Nagare disguised as a human because his character profile states he enjoys a cheap meal at sushi buffets, and Red kind of implied Blue was a little odd in the future chapter, so I appreciate this addition. Like I said, they have the voice actors who are Sentai alumni, so I'm glad they're using them to flesh out the other Rangers. Also, this is actually not the first time a Blue Ranger has fallen in love with someone not completely human. In Lightspeed Rescue, the Blue Ranger hooked up with a mermaid. Time Force Blue ended up with the main villain's daughter. Beast Morphers Blue had to fight a virus duplicated of his ex and a robotic duplicate of her in Season 2. And in Nin Ninja, a monster fell in love with Nin in Blue, so somehow this edition managed to be accurate and pay respect to multiple seasons at once. Red uses this opportunity to summon the Victory Kizuna Buster, basically most teams' group weapon for a finisher attack you see in Toku, to try to get them all to work together. But Yidra hasn't seen Koryuger. You're supposed to stand in a V for that show to power it up. But no, in reality, it's a lack of respect between her, Zatsu, and Lane. Red explained in the manga that Yellow and Blue had a big fight, but the anime actually has them physically buzzing heads. And we also learned that Yellow is a school teacher who was a former delinquent. The manga kind of implied it, but the anime kind of went into more detail. The attack knocks Red out thanks to a lack of bond energy, and Yidra almost gets hurt trying to heal him, but Zatsu and Lane get enough development to try and hold them off, and that's enough of a bond improvement to power Red back up. Together, the true Victory Kizuna Buster is able to defeat it, and they end up making a team pose that's kind of infectious. We love to see Toku tropes. But yeah, out of the monster comes an old man with a weird bump on his head. Suspicious. And they take him to the guild for Pops to handle. Our duos end on good terms. The manga has them tease her about her feelings for Red, but it was cut. And in exchange, they added a cute smile exchange between her and Red afterwards. It still ends with him escaping the needle, much to the guild master's chagrin. But outside Mr. Treasure Gramps, or should a princess say Lord Nociel, seems to be under the influence of that bump, or should I say seed. His powers start to transform him back into the beast, but our swordsman takes him down in one blow. And with a privilege unleashed, or unsealed in this case, our princess takes a dangerous seed. Though, as she notes, to save the world, they can't do it alone. As for the ending, it gets Yidra's mood and thoughts and growing fascination as well as her imagining herself as a Purple Ranger. Wait, is that a... For now, let's just call that a cute homage, and I will get back to you on that in a later episode or future season. But it's cute as a dream of her saving him for a change. This is why we need more battle couples in fiction. This episode adapted Chapter 2 pretty well. Only one thing got cut. I'd say every edition either added something to the comedy, characterization, or the tokusatsu elements. They didn't skip out on any detail at all, and most of the music fits the theme of what they were going for. As for the opening, I do prefer more when the action scenes give a hint of what's to come, but the opening did a good job of balancing foreshadowing, themes, and hiding spoilers, plus the ending did the job it needed to. For now, Toko's actions bringing out the best in Yidra throughout the episode was kind of the main highlights. We see her pride get broken down as her more heroic elements force her to accept her promises, and how she grows into someone more compassionate. It also was a good choice to have Zatsu and Lane improve despite being minor characters and actually name them, as well as using the flashback to explore his red team as a contrast to how he's a duet act with Yidra for now. We even get future glimpses of Rosie and Tetalina joining them on their adventures, and based on their own approach to the seeds, we are going to learn a bit more details about that next episode. So far, we've gotten 1-to-1 chapter adaptations, so it's really hard to say if we'll get an episode that combines 2 episodes. Well, 2 chapters in this case, but I guess we'll have to wait and see to find out next week. But please, let me know your thoughts below. Anything new that you learned? Did you like the episode? Did you not? If you notice that my voice sounds a little bit different, I fell asleep halfway through the recording, so this is more later in the night, and I'd rather not wake anyone up. So if you appreciate this video, let me know, and hopefully it has better audio mixing than the last time.